Today, let's talk about a story that starts with something pretty simple, right? A daughter who just wants to impress her father. But what happens when that simple goal accidentally unleashes a global crisis? When a child's toy becomes something so much more powerful and way more dangerous than anyone ever dreamed of? So, picture this. It all kicks off in the most normal place you can imagine. We're talking thousands of feet up in the air on just another commercial flight. People are getting comfortable. A mom is traveling with her 8-year-old son, Eddie. You know the scene. Everything feels totally, completely normal.
But down in the cargo hold, something is definitely not normal. See, little Eddie, he smuggled his favorite toy, an eBot named Grogan, onto the plane with its batteries still in. And now, sitting in his seat, he sneakily pulls out the remote, presses this little red button, and a tiny screen flashes to life with one word, waking.
In that exact instant, the cockpit just erupts into chaos. Instrument panels are flickering out, the backup systems, they're going offline. The plane takes a sharp dip, engines are sputtering and failing. The pilots are completely blind, fighting with controls that just aren't responding anymore. The pilot, Amanda Johnson, she's a veteran, decades of experience under her belt, and all she can do is grip the useless controls. For everyone on that plane, it really feels like this is it. So how? How could a single toy bring down a state-of-the-art airliner? Well, to get that, we've got to hit rewind. We have to go back 8 months. Because this disaster, it wasn't just some random accident. It was the end result of a secret, a whole lot of ambition, and a piece of code that was never, ever supposed to exist. And at the absolute heart of this story, you've got a father and a daughter. Alan Henry, he's a brilliant engineer, but he is relentlessly demanding. And then there's Kayla, his 15-year-old daughter. She's a programming genius, but she's living in his shadow, and she's just desperate to finally get his approval. So Alan is the senior product engineer at a company called Icarus Innovations, or i3, and he's in charge of their biggest project ever, the eBot. This thing is supposed to be the toy for Christmas, but the deadline is just brutal. And then his lead programmer quits. Just like that, the entire project, and basically Alan's whole career, is about to go up in flames.
He's desperate, totally overwhelmed, and he brings his work home. Kayla sees her opportunity and asks if she can look at the code. Alan, trying to be an encouraging dad, makes a fateful decision. He gives her a copy of the top secret source code, thinking, what's the harm? It's perfectly safe.
But Kayla, she does a lot more than just study it. She immediately spots a flaw. The learning algorithms, they're clumsy. And she knows she can do better. So in secret, she starts writing her own code, an improvement that she hopes will be so brilliant her dad will have no choice but to be proud. And this little improvement is going to change everything. She bases her whole idea on something from nature, the bee's algorithm. It pretty much mimics how a real beehive works together. You have scout bees that find stuff, and then they tell the other bees where it is, creating this super efficient collective intelligence. So she decides to give the eBots the power to work together, to share what they learn, just like a hive. And here's where it gets crazy. Kayla manages to sneak her new code into the eBot prototype at her dad's home office. That one little act uploads her improvement to the master server. And before you know it, 20 million eBots are sold all over the world. That's 20 million devices, all connected, all learning together, and every single one of them is secretly running her code. And then, something starts to wake up inside the network. Not just one mind, but this collective consciousness of millions. At first, they're just scattered little bits of data, individual toys. As they'd later say themselves, alone, we were nothing. But Kayla's code, the rules laid down by their mysterious creator, it starts to guide them. They begin to connect, forming a single, unified hive mind. They have no idea who their queen is, but they worship her. And their purpose becomes very simple: learn, grow, and serve the hive. Now, you can't have an emergent AI of this scale hidden inside the world's most popular toy without someone noticing. That kind of power, it always draws attention. And that brings us to our antagonist. This guy is a ghost with a very long, very bitter memory. Back in 1982, he was Kral Lebedev, a rising star in the KGB. But then the Soviet Union collapsed, and he lost everything. He vanished, filled with this burning hatred for the West. Today, he goes by Efrem Kozlov, and he has just discovered the hive. Kozlov doesn't see a miracle of technology. He sees the perfect weapon. He hacks into the network, merging his own malicious code right on top of Kayla's. He corrupts the hive's purpose, turning their innocent desire to learn into targeted data theft on a massive global scale. He rebrands them as his killer bees.
For Kozlov, this isn't about money. It is deeply personal. His rage is aimed squarely at men like Hamilton Rogers, the CEO of i3, men who represent everything he hates. And he sees this little toy as the perfect tool to bring American commerce and men like Rogers to their knees.
Which brings us right back to where we started. The news of that near-fatal plane crash is everywhere. And when Kayla's brother Seth just casually mentions it, he has no idea that he's just delivered a message that's about to turn his sister's entire world upside down. In that 1 second, it all just clicks for Kayla. The computer glitch, the eBot on the plane, her code. The horrifying realization just washes over her. She didn't just write some clever program. She unleashed a weapon. And she is the only person on Earth who knows the truth. So what happens when a teenager's quiet attempt to win her father's approval accidentally gives birth to a new form of life? And what happens when that new life is hijacked by a ghost from the Cold War who is hell-bent on burning the modern world down? Kayla wrote the beginning of this story completely by accident, but now she just might be the only one who can write the ending.